John chapter 15 is known as the discourse of the vine and the branches. In today's gospel, we continue reading from that discourse that we began last Sunday, but today we will read from John chapter 15 verses 9 to 17. And this is how the text of today begins. Jesus says in these verses, "As the Father has loved me, so I love you." The first thing that we realize is that Jesus could address God in such an intimate and personal manner. Father is a metaphor. Jesus lived in a patriarchal society, and so for him, possibly because he had a wonderful experience with his foster father Joseph, he could relate and use that term for God. The point is, whether he would call God father or mother or uncle or aunt is not so important as this personal relationship. Before Jesus, everyone related with God as up there, and God is so far away. God is great. God is magnificent. God is powerful. God is omniscient. God is omnipotent, and all of those terms, yes. But there was never an instant where an individual could relate with God on a one-to-one. And this is what Jesus has done for himself and has done for us. And we should be so grateful that we can talk with God as if we were talking with another human being. As the Father has loved me. So by using this metaphor, Jesus is indicating that he shares a personal relationship. He can talk with God. He can converse with God. He can hear what God is saying. And he is inviting us to the same relationship. However, the Father God has made things easier for us because he has sent his tangible Son into our midst and into our world. And the same love which the Father gave to Jesus, Jesus gives to us. So we are receiving, you might say, the love from God himself. If we can use this term, himself or God herself, if you prefer to regard God as feminine. The same love is given to us. And then Jesus pleads with us in the next words, "Remain in my love." This verb menein indicates union, indicates intimacy, indicates oneness, indicates non-duality or non-separation. Remain in my love. So in other words, it is the Father, Jesus, and we as disciples, all of whom are one. This oneness which Jesus says is a oneness which has to be a witness to the world. And we show that witness to the world by keeping the commandment of love. Before Jesus, Moses gave to the people a list of 10 commandments. Those 10 commandments was summarized by Jesus in many instances into actually one commandment, even though they might seem to be two on the surface level. And that one commandment was that we love God only when we love others. As a matter of fact, in the first letter, John says in chapter 4, verse 20, that if anyone says that they love God, but cannot love the brother or sister, then they are liars. Why are they liars? Because he says, how can you tell me that you love God whom you cannot see, but cannot love your brother or sister whom you can see? So love is not blind. Love requires clarity of perception. I need to be able to see clearly in order to be able to love. And when I see clearly, I realize that the person across me is not an enemy. The person across me is not an adversary. The person across me is not an opponent. The person across me is a brother or a sister or a friend or a companion. That is who the person across me is. And this is what Jesus invites his disciples to do if they are his disciples. He goes on then to challenge those who receive that love to show that they have indeed received that love. God's love is free. God's love is gracious. God's love is given without measure. However, because it is free, we have to receive it. The gift is given, but the reception depends on us. In Revelation chapter 3 verse 20, Jesus says, "Behold, I stand at your door and knock." By this he means that he takes the initiative. He even goes to the extent of being insulted by knocking on our door. We can insult him by refusing to answer. We can insult him by refusing to show that we are within the room of the door at which he knocks. And he is willing to be insulted. However, even as he takes the initiative, even as he is willing to be insulted, he will not force. He will not coerce. He will not put any pressure on us to receive that love, because it is a love that is given freely. And then he goes on to say in Revelation 3:20, if you open the door, notice, if you open the door, so now the response has to come from within the room, has to come from within my heart. If I open my heart, then Jesus says he will come and sit down to supper with you and you with me, supper, the most intimate of communions. This is what Jesus means, and that's why the verb menein here is so important. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Remain in my love. I show that I have remained in the love of Jesus. Not only by telling him that I have received his love, but by showing tangibly that I have received that love when I share that love with others. It is only when the love that I have received is shared with others that it becomes a proof, if you like, of the fact that I have opened my heart to God's love. God's love is so great and so magnanimous that I cannot keep it within my heart. I am so filled with it that I need to share it with others. Will you, who have received God's immeasurable and unconditional love, share that same love with at least one person today?